You guys have asked for it, and it's time to talk again about the northern suburbs of Melbourne. Victoria Townhouse.
Victoria really stands out for is its overseas migration.
It's super multicultural as well. We talk with lead research analyst Junge Ma from InvestorKit, talking about Victoria as a state, focusing into Melbourne and then directly into the suburb to answer the question you've sent in.
It's the largest suburb in Hume, 17,000 people living there.
Some places in Melbourne have already started to heat up, but it doesn't mean everywhere is a good investment.
Unemployment rate isn't looking the best, 7.8% for now, higher than the Melbourne average.
I'm interested to see which way you're going to go with this, John.
If we are considering a townhouse, I reckon you're looking at...
If you've been wanting to learn more about more of the affordable side of the Melbourne property market, you're going to enjoy this episode. My name's Todd Sloan. This is the Pizza and Property Podcast, and this episode is powered by Inside 2, InvestorKit, and the Property Developer Network. More about our amazing show sponsors in the show notes below. Right now, let's jump straight into this episode with Junge Ma. Junge Ma, you ready to talk about Victoria again?
Have to.
So many of you guys keep on sending in areas in Victoria. So just in case you're listening going, are they talking about Melbourne again? Send in an area that you're wanting unpacked. Either myself and Jung or Aj are going to be sitting down here and basically pulling it apart. But this month's question has been sent in by Max. Now, Max, very much a man of few words. Craigieburn, Victoria, Townhouse. Straight down the line. Now, I'm assuming Max is looking at getting a townhouse in Victoria, more specifically in Craigieburn. This is a really interesting one because, and you and I have been doing a little bit more chatting about this off air because there's quite a few townhouses around the place. I think townhouses right now are starting to become a little bit more of a popular, like, second option. It's like there's a bit of a maybe around this.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to set the stage with before we jump into Victoria first, then the LGA of Craigieburn, and then into actual Craigieburn and townhouses?
No, I think it's all good. Let's just get into it.
Done. Let's start with Victoria.
So Victoria, as usual, population is doing really well. Second fastest growing state, just after WA. The economy is doing well. Like we said weeks ago, the unemployment rate is not the lowest among states, but it has improved over the decade. As we're talking about Craigieburn, I guess one thing Victoria really stands out for is its overseas migration.
It's super multicultural as well. Like it can be very culturally pocketed too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Craigieburn is, I think, heavy in migrants. And I believe Indian migrants are the largest overseas migration group now into Australia.
Interesting. Okay. So whilst Victoria is already seeing a lot of overseas migration, the Indian community is one of the largest communities coming to Australia.
Yes. And Craigieburn, I believe, is one of the major destinations when they first land.
Got it. I see where you're going here. Okay. So already talking about a little bit more pressure from one of the largest communities actually migrating to Australia.
Right.
Got it. Okay. Anything else that you want to say about Victoria before we move on to the LGA?
Yeah, pretty much it.
Done. Let's talk about, is it Hume?
Hume, yes. The LGA is Hume. Hume is huge.
I was going to say, Hume is huge.
Yes.
It sounds like a red leather, yellow, the kind of tongue twister that we're about to create. But how big is Hume? Let's give everyone a scope.
So Hume has a population of 244,000 people. If we look at Mount Gambier,
which we spoke about a little while ago.
Yeah, I think they have 27,000.
That's like almost
10
Mount Gambiers, 10 Mount Gambiers.
Yeah, 9.
Yeah, we're both trying to do quick maths.
I'm so bad at it.
It's bigger than Frankston. Like Frankston's pretty big. And like Frankston, I'm pretty sure that was 190-ish. You're going to test me now on Google, I can tell. But like it sounds like it's even bigger.
It's 140.
140.
Frankston.
Oh, I was way off. Okay, so it's definitely bigger than 100,000 more people. So it's a huge LGA. So we've got a lot of suburbs inside this. And what if we start looking at the LGA as more its own economy, like talking about good things, bad things, building approvals, population growth, all the rest of it?
Population is definitely one of the strongest. 3.4% year-on-year growth. That is not only higher than Australia's average, which is 1.7, double Australia's average, but also higher than Greater Melbourne's 2.7%. So Melbourne was already strong, but Hume is even stronger.
Got it. Okay, so it's already shaping up for some good demand as far as population growth is concerned.
To put a bit twist here, the high population growth is actually related to the large number of new house being built there as well. So if we look at house building approval rate,
is it huge?
It is not too low, 4.8%.
Yeah, wow.
Above the balanced level.
And just for any new viewers, what's balanced?
Balanced for now, we're looking at 2 to 3%. 4.8%, it's relatively high. There'll be no problem as long as the demand can catch up with the supply increase pace. But if one day demand is lowering, but supply is still this high, there could be an oversupply issue.
So as much as there's a lot of people moving there, so there's a lot of population growth, there's also a lot of construction happening.
Yes.
Which at the end of the day, having like a huge shortfall of houses, it's what needs to happen. But as investors, that's the thing that makes you go, oh, I don't know, maybe my property is going to be sitting around for a little while. And I want to jump into a bit more vacancy rates when we get into the area of Craigieburn as well. But what more can we unpack as far as the LGA is concerned for Hume?
So we were talking about population. I guess I want to touch the job market a bit as well. Unemployment rate in Hume isn't looking the best, 7.8% for now.
That's massive.
Yes, higher than Melbourne's average.
I'm just trying to do quick maths in my head. If there's 240,000 people there, 7.8%, that means there's like 20-ish thousand people just chilling. Probably not 20, but it's around there. Like if we're looking at it roughly, that's a lot of people like on what I'm assuming we're talking, the official unemployment rate, that doesn't take into account retirees, kids, anyone that falls outside it, does it?
No, it's only for people who are willing to work, but they haven't got a job yet.
Got it. Okay.
It actually happens a lot in outer skirt areas. It could be because in some of these areas, public housing is a big thing. So you naturally have unemployment people. And the other thing is possible is that you have a new overseas migrants who just came here looking for a job but haven't got one yet.
So is that also like when you see if there's a tower that just gets built and all of a sudden the vacancy rate shoots through the roof because all of a sudden technically you've got like 200 apartments that have just hit the market. So there looks like there's a massive vacancy, but it's actually a spike because of something like that?
I think it's similar.
Similar kind of thing. Got it. Is there any kind of cultural difference then with this? Like, because also if we're talking about, like, because right now it feels like the split between husband and wife or partners going to work, it's like if we rewind the clock 50 years ago, it was dad went to work, mum stayed home. That was just the standard. Now, mum and dad going to work or dad and dad, mum and mum, whatever the setup is, then it's like that's now the norm. It's two incomes for the house. Right. If culturally it's more seen as like, no, mum still stays at home, is mum actually counted in that statistic because technically she could work?
Cool, I get it. But yes, stay-at-home moms, they do not count as unemployed. They're just out of labor force.
Got it. Okay, so they're not included in the stat. No. All right, so there is actually just a lot more unemployed people in the LGA of Hume.
Right.
Okay. I was trying to look for some kind of silver lining or some kind of a reason why, but it doesn't sound like there's then.
Yeah, just a little bit addition to what we've just talked about.
Yeah.
One thing I was thinking is that in, I guess, overseas migration heavy areas, it's possible that some of these overseas migrants, when they first landed, they still want to work. They're not out of labor force. Their language skills are not as good for them to land a good job. That could be one of the contributing factors that it takes longer time for them to get a job, therefore the higher unemployment rate.
That makes sense. And this is the whole reason I wanted to poke a little bit more, because I feel like sometimes the data is the data and it's like it's good or it's bad and it is what it is. And sometimes you might need to actually like peek a little bit closer and go, actually, what's really going on here? And it sounds like maybe there is actually just a lot more unemployed people there, but maybe there's also a few reasons as to why that number is a bit higher, but maybe it's like the genuinity behind it when you actually measure all the variables isn't as high. And it sounds like it's possibly a little bit of column A, column B here. There might be a few variables at play that aren't being measured, but otherwise it does actually just have a higher unemployment rate. All right, so with that in mind, why don't we jump into the area? Let's talk Craigieburn, let's talk townhouses, and let's start answering Max's question here. Well, his question is literally the word townhouse, but let's start answering on the question that I think he's asked.
So data-wise, we are actually using unit market data for townhouses.
Why is that?
Because when you when you go to realestate.com, all the units for sale, they're actually townhouses. There are very few apartments in that area. So unit market data should be reflecting townhouse market trends well.
Makes sense.
So yeah, that's why we're using unit data. Median price in Craigieburn, 420,000. That is
420.
Yeah, and compared to houses, 650,000. So that's a big gap. I can tell why Max is thinking of going for a townhouse.
Okay, so more than likely, Max, you're looking at this going, this is pretty affordable and there's some decent cash flow, I'm guessing. Can you start talking about a bit more yield, rental returns, that kind of stuff?
Right, yield is much better than houses, 5.3%.
Awesome.
Right. Rental growth is actually good. Last 1 year growth, 10%.
Really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so things sound like they're starting to stack up towards a yes, but your building approvals that you're talking about with the LGA were pretty big before. Talk to me about like the pressure side of things in this market.
If we talk about sales market pressure, inventory is actually healthy, 2 months of stock.
Okay, so balanced?
That's good.
Yep.
Days on market, 50, not the lowest in Melbourne. I guess some middle ring, inner ring areas, they are 20 something or 30 something, but it has started trending downward. Sales price 1 year growth wasn't really good, just 1%, but it's starting to speed up.
Okay, so it sounds like things are pretty stable, but they're going in the direction potential, like they're trending towards growth.
Yep.
But there's not really growth just yet.
Not yet. At least it's not reflected in data yet.
Okay, what about the rental side of things? What are vacancy rates looking like?
Vacancy rate, it's not looking the best. Now it is 2.8%.
That's huge. Like that's not out of this world, but that's big.
That is big. Especially if you consider many regional cities, they're looking at 0.5 to 1% vacancy rates.
Yeah,
that 2+, it's already huge. It started rising last year in 2024. Now we are seeing this to go down a bit, but still 2.8 is quite high.
Okay, so it was trending up. Now it's starting to trend back down a little bit. But what I'm really hearing here, though, is building approvals are on the rise, population's on the rise, but building approvals, when we're talking about like Hume as a whole, are they on the rise for Craigieburn too? Or like, do we have that data isolated?
Building approval in Craigieburn, it's fine. It's more established than the other suburbs in Hume. For now, if we're looking at townhouse building approval, it's 2.4%. It's kind of balanced.
Okay.
Not really crazy.
But that's not looking like it's some kind of a big contraction in supply anytime soon. Like it's still going along pretty reasonably. Like you said, balanced.
Yes. In the central part of Craigieburn, it can be a bit higher because it's close to public transport and all the amenities. So it's higher there, actually more than 10%.
10%, okay.
But in other parts, like in the north, northwest, west, they're actually quite healthy. Either no new development or very low, like 1% building approval rate.
So this sounds very pocketed.
Yes, because it's a huge suburb. It's the biggest, I think, it's the largest suburb in Hume.
How big is it?
17,000 people living there.
Okay, so as far as a townhouse in Craigieburn's concerned, I'm kind of half now listening to this, because before I was thinking you were possibly leaning towards a go, but now it's sounding like there's a few pockets in Craigieburn where there's a lot of construction happening. There's already not too much growth in townhouses. There's vacancy rates that are pretty high, but the yields are pretty good.
Yep.
There's a super competitive, well not competitive, but like affordable price point to get into, which to me, as soon as that starts picking up and there's a bit more heat from owner occupiers, that makes a lot of sense. I'm interested to see which way you're going to go with this, John.
Yeah, for Craigieburn, there's so many layers. If we're just talking about the housing markets in general, Craigieburn is a go because it is on its way to recovery, early in cycle and increasing market pressure. So everything is pointing to a good direction. But the biggest thing I want you to remember is the choice of asset type. If we are considering a townhouse in Craigieburn, I reckon you're looking at a small budget. We did see lots of townhouses in the fours under 500K, but most of them are 2-bedroom townhouses. And when it is 2-bedroom townhouses, you may,
You've basically got a unit. Like really, it's a unit stacked
Yeah.
on top of each other a lot of the
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Okay. And so you're kind of looking at this just thinking it's basically a unit. So be careful. Is that kind of it?
Not really. There's nothing wrong with looking like a unit. Yeah, when it comes to two-bedroom dwellings, you may want to check if the demand for two-bed dwelling is the majority. But yeah, when we check Craigieburn's census data, 84% of the households are family households. And among the families, I believe 61 or 62% are families with children.
I can see
So
where you're
the
going.
majority of households there, they need a space.
So you're basically looking at this going, all right, you might be able to get great value, like value, I'm doing air quotes now for everyone on iTunes and Spotify, but you're not in like Brunswick, you're not in South Bank, you're not in you're not somewhere that people are more young professionals, young couples, singles. If you're going to be in an area where there is a family of multiple people, you want to be able to actually have something that can, exactly. Gotcha. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it sounds like, is it leaning towards a possible go then if it was a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom townhouse, or are you still in are you moving towards a no?
If you're looking at 3 or 4 bedroom townhouses, the majority of them should be above 500K or even higher if it's a bit newer.
Yep.
So with that budget, you may probably get a decent house in other areas. For example, in regional Victorian cities like Bendigo, Ballarat or Wodonga. Those cities are in a similar cycle position as Melbourne, affordable house prices and a good amount of growth ahead. As someone from InvestorKit, I would definitely recommend you consider regional Victorian cities compared to a townhouse.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is if this is the budget that Max has got to work with, then realistically there's potential elsewhere for a similar kind of budget. But if he's looking like in those more so 2-bedroom townhouses that are in like the kind of high 3s to mid 4s, then be careful about your demographic, because if Craigieburn is more of a family area and then there's already 2.8% vacancy rates and you're buying an asset that is already unattractive to the majority that live there,
right,
you could have
vacancy
something that
could be longer, rental growth could be slower.
So as much as the rental yield, I think you said is 5-point-something% on paper, super attractive. In reality, that actually might be a very different story cash flow wise.
Right.
And then that future demand as well, I can see how that's then potentially going to lack a little bit because it's not what the demographics really after. So basically it's a no.
I would say so.
Okay. All right. So as far as townhouses are concerned, I think we're going to be seeing a bit more questioning around townhouses. And like I can already see a lot of questions actually with townhouses that we can't cover right now. But if you guys have got a question that you want answered, an area that I'm going to be sitting down either with Jung or with Arjun, pulling it apart, you know what to do. Click the link below. Tell us as much info as you can so we can get you an answer that's really going to help. But right now, Max, it sounds like it is a no for townhouses in Craigieburn. Is there anything else, any final words of wisdom you got, Jung, before we wrap things up?
That's it.
Done. Junge Ma from InvestorKit. It's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Oh, thank you so much.